What's up, Rick? How you doing, man?
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Thanks so much for having me on. Congrats on V2. I'm so stoked.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, man.
That's what we're here for, right? We're just going to be talking about
Yeah.
V2 all day, yeah?
Man, I want to hear about Gumball. I'm super excited. So yeah, look, thanks so much for joining us. Looking forward to catching up with you in person tomorrow as well. We're in the States. That's going to be a hell of a time. And yeah, look, why don't you tell us a little bit about Gumball's background, your background. Take us into, maybe give us a brief overview of the proposal and what you guys are wanting to achieve here, and then we can duck into some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Brock, and I'm the operations lead at Gumball. Gumball is essentially a liquid NFT launchpad and marketplace. So the idea is to give NFT creators the ability to launch liquid NFT collections. The way that we do that is using a bonding curve that Heesh so eloquently described, I think, 2 weeks ago in the Fireside. So a little overview of like how Gumball works is essentially, say an NFT creator wants to launch a collection on Gumball. Let's say it's a 10,000 item collection. So we would mint the 10,000 NFTs in the Gumball machine, and then we would also mint 10,000 ERC20 tokens on a bonding curve. And in order to mint an NFT, what you would do is buy an ERC20 from the bonding curve and then take it to the Gumball machine and exchange it for an NFT from the collection. So what we've basically done is we've kind of added a tokenization to the NFT creation step, which the tokenization itself isn't new, but the idea of doing this tokenization, basically minting from a bonding curve and having that liquidity stay in the bonding curve for people, is the sort of novel idea. So the idea behind this is you now have a 10,000 item collection of non-liquid NFTs, and then you also have a 10,000 collection of liquid ERC20 tokens that sort of act as proxies for each NFT in the collection. And this basically gives holders of these NFTs a bunch of utilities that aren't normally found in NFTs. There's like instant selling back to the bonding curve, staking, borrowing. Basically, it just gives us the opportunity to start integrating NFTs with like DeFi protocols, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I mean, so jumping into some of the questions here, like, you want to take, you've briefly touched on this, but take the audience through, some of the problems that it actually solves. As per, it's going to be, sort of it borrow against and things like that. So take us into some of those intricate details.
Yeah, so generally as it stands right now, NFTs are very illiquid. When you own one, in order to sell it, you'll generally have to list it on like a Paintswap or OpenSea or whatever chain you're on. The reason for that is because when you mint NFTs, that liquidity kind of escapes. It goes all to the person that created the collection. And obviously, creators of collections need to be compensated for their work. But from a community standpoint, you have a lot of people who are raising a lot of money when they buy NFTs and mint out a collection. And our train of thought is sort of using that liquidity to be more of like a community fund to work for both the creators of the NFT collection as well as like the community holders of it. So Heesh brought up something interesting in his Fireside about bonding curves. When you buy something on a bonding curve, you're essentially like a liquidity provider, like single-sided staking. And in DeFi, we incentivize liquidity providers, right, with emissions or with other options. But in NFTs, the people providing the liquidity aren't necessarily always like incentivized. You're really kind of at the whim of the project to deliver on like a promised utility down the road. And if that utility is something like DeFi integration, staking, swapping, things like that, it can be a really big challenge to like build that on the back end, especially if you're an artist and you're not familiar with like DeFi and stuff. So this protocol is sort of a way for people to create NFTs that are integratable with DeFi sort of from the get-go, and basically keep liquidity for mint in the collection to act as like a community fund.
So take us through, traditionally in a normal NFT mint, all of that fundraising, I suppose, goes directly to the artist. So take your route, what would you say the benefit is to the artist in that respect? Looking at two different models here.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's basically just an alternative revenue model. There's one way to think of it as like a normal NFT mint. You're selling your art and you're being paid for it piece by piece. Whereas with Gumball, it's a little bit more of like a licensing model. You are making your money off of like swap fees on the collection. And because the collection is liquid, because of things like this Spiritswap proposal where we're going to integrate now with like a DEX, we expect to see much higher volume on these collections through things like arbitrage opportunities and just general utility and uses. So for a creator, it's kind of taking the DeFi swap fee model and applying it to like NFT creation. Yeah, and so like with Spiritswap, on Gumball native NFTs, you can stake and earn swap fees and stuff like that. Our integration or our proposed integration with Spiritswap would kind of open the door to a lot more options as far as utilities for your NFT, and a lot more just opportunities that will hopefully bring more volume to collections. So specifics of the proposal would be we would essentially be able to whitelist 3 Gumball collections on Spiritswap to be able to be added to like gauge voting and emissions and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so in respect to like you mentioned as part of the proposal, should it pass the DAO vote, you guys are obviously able to pick and choose between which artists you want to include, in the LP gauge proxies. So how many artists are you guys speaking with at the moment? How many sort of potential liquidity pools do you guys have drummed up at the moment? I'm aware some of the more prominent Phantom-based artists that you're speaking with, but do you want to give us any insight into what your sort of lineup is looking like at the moment?
Yeah, we have kind of an interesting like lineup. We're planning for an ETH mainnet launch, and we're also planning a Phantom launch, and so we've got kind of rods in the fires on both networks. As far as Phantom goes, the thing that we really wanted to be able to showcase on Phantom was kind of the protocol to protocol applications of this idea. So we have 3 like GBT collections that we'll be able to whitelist. We would probably use one of those as like a typical like generative PFP collection. That's more kind of like traditional NFT art. Beyond that, we want to integrate like a redeemable wearable. I can't say too much on it right now, but I know that people probably are aware of some projects on Phantom that are NFT like redeemable crossovers. So the idea would be to potentially do another project with that could be whitelisted on Spirit. And then we've also got some ideas for governance, which I'm not sure how much I can talk about on that right now, but basically using the Gumball model to help bring more liquidity to locked governance positions. So yeah, on Phantom specifically, we kind of want to showcase a few different possibilities, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. That was rich in alpha right there for people who can read between the lines. And anyone who's seen me making comments about this particular fireside chat in general, I think it was yesterday, seeing if people could read between the lines. That is exactly what I was alluding to. And yeah, to answer Fubear's question, will it become a potential marketplace for FNFTs with no art component? Yeah, read between the lines there, folks. I think we won't go into too much detail on there at the moment because I kind of see this as being like a stepping stone approach. Obviously the DAO needs to pass your proposal first. Once that gets implemented and integrated into the Spiritswap ecosystem, there's definitely potential to extrapolate on the Gumball model and add additional utility to certain locked governance positions out there.
Yeah. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, honestly. I know, yeah, we got all sorts of stuff cooking in the background. But, man, the real goal of this partnership proposal is like Spiritswap and in-spirit holders. I think it's great to be able to give them more exposure to like the NFT marketplaces. And I just, with NFTs and like liquid assets almost run in parallel. They have like their own marketplaces and their own way of like being sold and bought. And I think that by kind of combining these, It brings a lot of value to the protocol and sort of opens up like a new asset class. I don't know how much of V2 you guys have like leaked and stuff, but I know that one of the exciting possibilities of this protocol would be earning Gumball NFT positions essentially as emissions from voting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, look, we can dig into that a little bit now. I mean, we're like literally a few days off launching V2. We haven't really told the community this level of sort of insight yet in terms of how we've revamped our fee model and all of that. But look, feel free. Look, you know about it, so feel free to sort of tell them as to how that would actually benefit them. Like maybe take people through a little bit of a walkthrough of the various LP positions. I mean, I guess Keisha and I can do that now. Actually,
actually. Maybe I think it'd be better for now to talk about like the parameters of the proposal. So Gumball is an exchange itself, and it's using the bonding curve model. And there's a swap fee on that bonding curve when you buy or sell NFTs. So the experience would really be like using an AMM, but for NFTs. And then we have Spiritswap, which is also an exchange, and we have a whole gauge system set up. So in the proposal, what Brock and the Gumball team have proposed is that Gumball will split half of their fees with the InSpirit treasury, so essentially like InSpirit holders. And then in return, InSpirit, or when any exchange that happens on Spiritswap, the Gumball treasury will earn 25% of those swap fees. And so that's something new that we've added to our V2. And I don't know if we've discussed it before, but we now have like a protocol fee. So any protocol that has liquidity on Spiritswap, they can, I guess, talk to the DAO and get their multi-sig or treasury address whitelisted in our contracts. And they would start receiving 25% of all swap fees that happen on their pairs. So if you have a liquid driver FTM pair, and you say you have like $10 million volume there, or say you made like 10,000 in fees there, that would mean that liquid driver would earn $2,500. And so the reason we chose to do that for Spirit V2 is to sort of incentivize protocols to list with us. Like if they have their liquidity on Spiritswap, they're actually making money, whereas if they have it elsewhere, they're not making any money out of it. It also adds a new element to the whole bribe system. Right now, like the main bribers in the whole DeFi industry are all protocols bribing for their own token. And they don't get anything in return when they do those bribes. And that's I see that as an issue because they don't really have any incentive to bribe besides increasing liquidity for their tokens, and they're not making any money off of it. So this sort of aligns incentives with protocols that are bribing, so they can actually get a payout from the swap fees when they bribe. And I'm really excited about that model. It's the first time I think we'll be seeing it in the DeFi space, and I'm really excited to see it live.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Some alpha there. We're spilling it. Yeah, I mean, giving you guys a little bit of insight and background as to some of the sort of fee remodeling in terms of distribution and allocation obviously is very pertinent to this particular proposal because it obviously benefits the Gumball ecosystem as well as all of our other partnership protocols out there as well. So moving forward, Brock, how would you say, like, again, just going back to the actual proposal, do you want to maybe summarize how Gumball directly benefits the InSpirit holders per se? So we've obviously got people earning from the swap fees, people are obviously earning from the gauge votes as well. So I mean, really, what this is actually doing is just adding a whole new element to the ecosystem and creating true liquidity for NFTs and potentially if NFTs for.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think I think the Web3 space right now is still kind of stuck in this like they hear NFT and you think of art or pictures. Really, what we're trying to do is we're opening DEXs up to basically a bunch of new asset classes, unique digital assets, whatever they are. And so I think that's going to be a big one, especially in DeFi and like financial NFTs. I think are going to be big in the next coming year. And as he says, the bandwidth of Web 2 is data, and the bandwidth of Web 3 is liquidity. So I think bringing as much liquidity we can and kind of figuring out how we can play around with it. We're gonna have a lot of cool things to play with.
Oh yeah, brother, that's perfect. I think that pretty much wraps up the proposal. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Otherwise, we can revert to the community for some questions if they want to ask any.
The only thing I would add is that I know in the Fireside chat on the bonding curve, he ended it on talking about being able to borrow underlying assets from the bonding curve. So you have a bonding curve and you bought ABC token from the bonding curve, and that ABC token is basically your ticket to retrieve liquidity from the bonding curve. If you lock that away, then that liquidity in the bonding is essentially safe and it's not going to be called on. So you can borrow again, correct? This borrowing aspect and this borrowing mechanism actually opens up a lot of really cool possibilities for like physical redemptions, because these like loans that you can take out from the bonding curve have no risk of liquidation, and because they generate swap fees to pay themselves off, you can actually use that loan that you take out to buy a service or a redeemable. So imagine you have an NFT collection on Gumball, and it's an NFT, and you can then redeem it for a physical item or a tattoo or a haircut, any good or service essentially. The person providing that good or service is paid via the borrowing mechanism, and then the holder of the original NFT basically gets that good or service with the money that they've already locked away in the bonding curve. That's one aspect we're super excited about, is this sort of risk-free borrowing from the bonding curve. It opens up a lot of options for physical redemptions. I don't mean to shit on projects.
Just to build off that, I just want to note that another really cool part of that whole system is if you say redeem like a sweatshirt off the bonding curve, your position is still earning swap fees. So you're essentially like wearing a sweatshirt that makes you money every day. And I think that could be a really interesting new paradigm when it comes to.
Exactly. Yeah, it's essentially redeemables that are like a placeholder for your staked NFT that's earning you swap fees. One thing that really grinds my gears is like if an NFT project, they release their NFT, and one of the items on the roadmap is that they're going to release merch, and it's essentially like, oh, we're going to give you the opportunity to pay more money for merch after you already bought our NFT. So in this system, the money that you've already paid into the bonding curve to buy your NFT originally is also the redemption fee. So it's not, you're not double paying for redemptions and stuff like that. But that's really the only aspect that I wanted to touch on before we turn it over to community questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge aspect, because I mean that's almost like taking lending networks in itself to the next level. Obviously, because that underlying asset is still earning you swap fees that you borrowed against it, you can also basically unwind that loan through the fact that it's still an income producing asset in the background as well. So it's kind of like a Frankenstein love child between, I guess, something like Alchemex and a whole new asset class of NFTs, combined with a lending network and having a liquid market, a truly liquid marketplace for all of the underlying. And I mean, yeah, not going into too much detail, but when you apply those metrics to, locked asset FNFTs, I think, hopefully everyone here can kind of see the true potential application for how this can really stimulate and supercharge not only the Inspirit ecosystem, but other VE locking ecosystems moving forward. And thanks to this proposal, thanks to Brock, for coming to us and giving us this opportunity. All of that will be based within Spiritswap exclusively on Phantom.
Hell yeah. Hey, can I say one more thing before we turn it over?
Of course, Brock.
If you are an artist or a creator or anybody on Phantom that's interested in doing an NFT collection with us, hit me up. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely note Brock's handle down here. But yeah, if anyone out there is listening and they don't know how to contact Brock, reach out to me, reach out to the mods, and we'll make sure to put you guys in touch, because we want to really help Brock and the Gumball team build this out as much as possible. We want to help. Awesome stuff, Brock. Thank you very much, man.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you.
So moving to the community now. Does anyone out there have any questions? I saw there was someone who posted something earlier, but it got removed. I'm not sure if a mod maybe deleted it. I think I did pin it actually.
There's
Yeah.
one question actually.
Yeah.
I can
Carry on.
tell.
Yeah, please.
All right. All right. Fubir asked, will it become a potential marketplace for FNFTs with no art component?
Oh no, we
Yes.
covered that already. Yeah, so yes.
The other one is
Yeah.
already deleted, so yeah, there's all the question I can say.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, oh, okay, painful.
Yo, I see one. Yeah, I got Paintball's question. NFT difference between NFTX and Gumball. So NFTX is a liquidity solution for existing NFTs. Gumball is a liquidity solution for new NFT collections. Gumball is a liquidity first solution. NFTX basically arrives at liquidity via farming for collections. And from my understanding, their goal is to be kind of a blue chip exposure for people that want exposure to NFTs without actually having to hold individual NFTs. NFTX is a really cool model. It's kind of coming at a similar, kind of trying to approach a similar problem from a different direction. So they're approaching liquidity for existing NFTs. Typically, blue chip. There's not that many collections on NFTX, from what I understand. Whereas Gumball is a liquidity for a solution. The collection is made from the bonding curve, so there's native liquidity instead of the liquidity needing to be farmed on like a third party, such as like Swap or something like that.
Yeah, and that bonding curve is key to being able to borrow against your NFT position.
Right. And so theoretically, you could mint a collection on Gumball, and then you could also take it to NFTX and create a vault for it and kind of double dip liquidity wise. You'd have like farmed liquidity, and then you'd also have the protocol and liquidity from Gumball. So Gumball is a little bit more of an upstream solution. I love NFTX. I think they're cool. I think they're just coming at it from kind of a different direction than us.
Yeah. Perfect, awesome. Thanks so much for answering those questions, Brock. Before we sort of wrap this up, we're sort of hitting the half-hour mark now, which is fantastic. That's kind of where we like to, keep our sort of timelines at. But if there's any other community members out there, now's your chance to get up and ask a question. Before we move on and sort of close this out, just while we give people to ask any additional questions. Brock, how soon are you guys ready to launch? When would you like to when can the community expect to see this proposal actually go live on Snapshot, which is kind of the next step of the process?
That's a great question. We're very close to launching. I would say definitely within the month. As far as the snapshot going live.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean we're moving fast here. We were kind of at the point where we're just finishing up collections and doing finishing touches on our UI. So I would say very soon.
Awesome. Same answer as Spiritswap beta soon.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like you don't want to get too exact.
Yeah. It's only something devs will understand. But no, that's awesome, dude. Well, I mean, obviously, once you guys are ready to roll this out, and when you do push your snapshot, with all DAO proposals, you'll have our full marketing support. We'll make sure to again sort of cover this in detail. When the snapshot does go live, we'll make mention of it in the Fireside chat that day or that week. And again, man, look, you're welcome to jump on at any time and contribute to the community, contribute to Fireside, and chat a little bit further about Gumball if there's anything extra you guys are working on. You're a great dude. I've been chatting with you over the last couple of weeks while I've been walking you through the whole DAO proposal process and all of that. You're an amazing guy, amazing team, and looking forward to working closer with you guys when you're live.
Dude, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome working with you guys. Shout out to Mo and Zinger as well. They've been giving me a bunch of help on the marketing side of things. And yeah, you guys are going to be sick of me by the end of this. You're going to be like, dude, get him out of here. No more liquidity from Rock.
No, I mean, look, the whole concept of bringing a whole new asset class to our ecosystem is extremely exciting. And I mean, this is what development is about. It's about seeking new solutions to existing problems and creating additional value for the ecosystem. I can see, looking at the conversation happening in the Fireside chat right now, everybody's absolutely hyped about this. So let's get V2 across the line. Then once Gumball's launched, let's send that baby to the moon. And let's continue to develop a long-lasting relationship between our protocols. I'm super excited.
Absolutely, man. Hell
Awesome.
yeah. We're going to be doing a Twitter Spaces tomorrow at 4:20 PST. If anybody wants to join.
Yeah. Shoot me through the link when you send that, and I'll make sure to give it a retweet from the Spiritswap account. Obviously, it's going to be interoperability between our ecosystems and our protocols now. So anyone in here listening to Fireside today, if you'd like to go and join that Twitter Spaces tomorrow, I'll make sure to put a retweet out from the official Spiritswap handle.
Thanks, man. That's awesome.
Awesome, man.
Fantastic.
Thanks. Yep. Thanks for the conversation, both Nick and Broccoli. It was great to listen. Guys, do you have any additional question to those guys before I think we can close
I think that's about. I think we can call it. I think we've given people plenty of time to sort of jot down any additional questions they have. Brock, I'm going to be catching you tomorrow with Heesh, so I'm looking forward to a catch up with you then, man. Meeting you in person, and to the community.
Yeah, bro. Let's get some tattoos, baby. We're gonna take.
I think Heesh is due for a tattoo or two.
I've never gotten a tattoo.
If Heesh ends up getting a tattoo of Soli or of the Gumball logo,
it'd be Sully for
the Gumball logo. I'm voting for the ass cheek. I don't know about you guys. Maybe we should chuck up a Twitter poll. Who knows?
Maybe we need a
snapshot, a down vote on whether he should get a Soli tattoo on his ass cheek. But you guys, look, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much again, Brock. Thank you to the community, and we'll look forward to updating everyone over the next couple of days with where we're finished, where we're at with V2. Super close with the master router stuff. Kind of out of our hands at the moment. We'd send it today if we could. But that being said, we'll keep you guys posted as soon as possible. Thank you to everyone, and thanks for joining us.